Greetings and welcome once again to my new calculus channel. My name is John Gabriel. I'd like to talk today about a very old topic which I haven't touched upon for quite a long time, simply because it's already been refuted, it's already been proved, and there's really nothing more to show. But there are still people out there who claim that the new calculus can't handle sine or cos, and that there is something about the use of limits. Let's see how this flawed thinking permeates all of mainstream mathematics. Now, if we look at a typical so-called proof of the derivative of a sine function, it's full of BS, basically. Really what they're doing here is they're just saying that sine x over x or sine 0 over 0 is equal to 1, and it is equal to 1. Okay, sine 0 over 0 is equal to 1. So contrary to what, let's see, what this utter moron, Jack Huizenga. So the guy I'm talking about is this fool here. He's a professor of mathematics. These are probably later photos where he seems to have gone on a diet, and the right one, well, that's chubby Jackie. Well, in any case. Now, Jack Huizenga attacked me viciously. He didn't apologize. He withdrew his entire critique later on, but he still left this garbage on. Okay. And this garbage here says, John discusses things as a function, sine x of x, and says it is obviously defined at 0, which I still say it is obviously defined at 0. And you're an idiot if you don't think it is. Using a power series to conclude that f0 is equal to that. So he says expressions like this make a mathematician's eyes bleed. Yes, that's correct. If you're a real mathematician, that expression won't make your eyes bleed because it's correct. So, and I'll show you in a moment why it is correct, okay? So he also continues with hand-waving arguments. I can only conclude that there's a misunderstanding about the domain definition of functions and what it means to have a continuous extension of a function that is not everywhere defined. Well, you see, when you multiply sine x by x over x, what do you think happens? What do you think happens? In mainstream, by the way. In mainstream mathematics, if you multiply sine x by x over x, you get, I'm sorry, it's not sine x, it's this expression here. Hold on a second. If you multiply this 1 minus, let's say, x squared over 3 factorial plus x4 over 5 factorial minus dot, dot, dot. So if you multiply that, then what you end up getting is sine x over x, okay? Now, there is simply no way you can put anything in that expression. That expression is basically untouchable. You don't get to put anything. What you do need to put is to put on brains, okay? Because in algebra and in any mathematics, any expression like that, whether it's like that or like this or any other expression where the top part in algebra is equal to the bottom part is equal, that expression can only be interpreted as 1, right? There's no such thing as an invalid form, 0, 0 over 0. That's nonsense. Okay, 0 is not even a number. It's just a placeholder. So, you can even get the mainstream AIs to agree with you. So, because they can't refute you after a while. So I said explain why sine x of x is equal to that. So then it goes through the typical BS of mainstream and says, now the limit of sine x over x is equal to 1. So notice, it gets the correct expression here, but it adds the drivel that this result is valid for all x not equal to 0. No, actually, this result here is valid for x equal to 0. Because if you put 0 in there, you get 1. Okay, it's very valid. The fact that you multiply by x over x doesn't mean that you can do a stupid thing like, say, sine 0 over 0. But if you do that, you must know that sine 0 over 0 is equal to this, where these here are zeros. So you're not really dividing by 0, okay? Which you can't do anyway in the first place. I mean, that's completely dumb. So I said, what? That result is valid for sine x over x because x over x can only equal to 1. So it chokes again, and it says that it's always well defined for x is not equal to 0. So I corrected. I said, you're wrong. Sine x over x is always well defined for x is equal to 0. And then it says you're correct. The function sine x over x is always well defined for all x, including x is equal to 0, because division by x, listen, division by x does not occur in an invalid manner. Okay? Of course it doesn't occur in an invalid manner. X is not 0. X is a number. Okay? You cannot put 0 into any fractional expression. And when you do, you're just going by a few rules. Okay, so let's see some of those bullshit rules where 0 pretends to be a number. So when you say something like 0 over 3, when you say that's equal to 0, that's absolute rubbish. Okay, you get away with it. Why? Because in your bird brain, you think that 0 times 3 is equal to 0. And you also get away with this. So you can get away with this and this. You think you can get away with this. But the reason is that you don't understand the arithmetic operations. Okay, and I'll put a link to my article which explains what you need to do in order to say something like this. Okay, in other words, what does division and multiplication, in that order, by the way, in that order, mean? Okay, so you cannot use 0 in division or multiplication. As for the expressions 3 plus 0 and 0 plus 3, well, nothing happens there, okay? Nothing. If you say 0, 3 minus 0, it's 3, nothing happens, okay? Now, if you say 0 minus 3 is equal to minus 3, you're not doing anything with 0. You're simply showing that the number you have here has a unary operation on it. Okay, in other words, it's defined as a negative number. And no, nothing happened when you said 0 minus 3. It was minus 3 from the beginning, okay, because this is the same as 0 plus minus 3 is equal to minus 3. And this is irrelevant anyway, okay? Now, you have to read my articles on arithmetic without numbers to understand these things. Because if you don't read my article on arithmetic, you cannot understand arithmetic. Nothing like it has ever been published in the history of humanity. Not even by the ancient Greeks, who knew these things, by the way. And I'm surprised that they didn't publish them. So then it says, you're correct. And dividing by x results in a series that is valid for all x, including x is equal to 0, where it evaluates to 1. There is no issue with defining it at x is equal to 0 because the series remains well defined everywhere. Of course, cosine, not cosine, but this series that I just wrote up here, where you say 1 minus x squared over 2 factorial, x4 over 4 factorial, etc. And I don't think it wrote that correctly, but it doesn't matter, is a correct expression for that sine x over x. So it would be absurd to consider the x in the expression to be anything but a valid number, so that the x over x preserves its validity. That is, x over x can not be anything else but 1. Okay? Nothing else but 1. You don't put anything there. You don't even put 3 over 3. You don't even put 4 over 4. What you need to do is put on brains. Okay? That's the thing you need to do. That's important. That's what you need to learn from the fools who criticize the great genius, John Gabriel. They need to put on brains. And by the way, notice how they removed a page where I explain what these things mean. It's no longer there. This is what you get if you try to do that. Well, of course, they ban me from all sites. I'm treated as anathema because they don't like my ideas. So finally, ChatGPT says the expression must always be understood as one because x represents a valid number. Okay? Since sin x is defined for all x, it's got nothing to do with the bullshit of domain. You can't punch a hole into the domain of sin x by multiplying it by x over x, you fucking morons. When you multiply by your so-called multiplicative identity one, nothing changes. So why would it change in algebra? I mean, listen, you ultra stupid math professor baboons. Why would this change if you multiplied it by 3 over 3? It wouldn't, idiots, would it? Why does it suddenly change when you do that? No, it doesn't change. What this means here is one, you infinitely stupid, infinitely incorrigibly stupid baboons. So my eyes bleed when I see anything written by mainstream academics. They're all a bunch of morons, and especially bullshit like you see in front of you right here. It's garbage, total garbage. And it says any suggestion that it is undefined at x is equal to 0 would be absurd, as it contradicts the fundamental property. And I didn't tell ChatGPT this; it came up. Contradicts the fundamental property that x over x is equal to 1 whenever x is a valid number. So, I mean, listen, in algebra, we deal with valid numbers, don't we? 0 is not the number, it's a placeholder. You incorrigibly stupid apes. Listen to me, sit up straight. I wish I could slap the lot of you a few times on your heads because you're so incorrigibly stupid. Okay, you don't get to define these things because you don't know better than me. If anyone's going to be defining these things, it will be I, not you, not Jack Huizenga, not that fucking little moron Terrence or any other Fields Medals or Abel Prize winner. I will define it because I know better. I'm smarter. Okay, you're all idiots compared to my intelligence. No, that's not a rant. It's something you need to understand. Okay, so going back to the sign issue, look, my historic geometric theorem alone shows you that your bullshit about limit of sine x over x is just exactly that bullshit. Because if you have a slider here, it doesn't matter how you move that slider, okay? Look, the derivative remains the same, and that is the slope difference. Do you understand, morons? It doesn't go to 0. It never goes to 0. Okay, it can't go to 0 because it's the slope difference. And so this is always correct. All these calculations are always correct. And now, how about the new calculus? Now, the new calculus is a little more difficult in that sense because it's rigorous. It's 100% rigorous. It doesn't deal with mainstream bullshit. So, for example, in the new calculus, you'll have something like, not something, you'll have the derivative defined like this, correctly, by the way, because this is the correct definition of derivative, not the bullshit you have in mainstream. So you'll define it like this, okay? And you can show that using this applet or any other applet that you like, they're easy to create, that there are infinitely many pairs. See that? That will give you q of x mn, q of x mn equal to 0. This is always equal to 0. I didn't have to write plus q of xm in here, but I could have written it because it doesn't matter. This expression is always 0. Okay. Now, the only time when there is not an mm pair is when f has an inflection point, okay, or f prime has an inflection point. So if you have something like that, then there is no tangent line there. And Apollonius proved that to be a tangent line, it cannot cross at the point of tangency. But did the incorrigibly stupid morons of the last 200-300 years pay attention? No. I mean, you got the 40 Bourbaki clowns who came along, were totally confused, didn't understand mathematics, and they just out of the blue, like Trump and his idiots, decided they were going to change the foundations of mathematics. Well, they didn't change the foundation of mathematics. They created a new bullshit mainstream mathematics, which is what you learn today, unfortunately, which is what you never understand, what you never master, because it's nonsense. Okay? So the new calculus is 100% rigorous. And it doesn't matter what you say. Okay? What you say is frankly irrelevant, right? See that? It's frankly irrelevant. Oh, there's something wrong with algebra. It's not the new calculus. Because if we go back there, oh, let's get back there. So yeah, there's always been a problem with this stupid package not working correctly, but that's not due to the mathematics. I can assure you of that, and I'm just using this to show you because it's a free software package. But there will always be a parallel secant line here, always, unless it's an inflection point which occurs round about there. Okay, then there won't be. That's okay because an inflection point, because a 0-0 pair tells you there's an inflection point there. Okay, so I'm not going to waste any more time with that. Now, I've shown you also how this is always the case. Okay, always the case. We're using my historic identic. The theorem says this. It says the slope of the non-parallel secant line, this red line, is equal to the slope of the tangent line plus the difference. And it's proved in my historic geometric theorem of January 2020. Okay, I think I've chatted long enough. I'm not going to allow comments on this video because I've already dealt with all the issues in the past, but it's something that needs to be refreshed occasionally for those of you who are new, so you can learn a lot from this. I'm John Gabriel, and if you're not already a subscriber, become a subscriber to my channel. Click like, follow me on academia.edu, and please do not take a math undergraduate course. You'll be wasting your time and your money. Rather follow something in architecture, engineering, computer development, computer software development, but don't waste your time on a math degree because beyond their flawed calculus and their linear algebra, there isn't any mathematics. It's all garbage. It's not mathematics in any sense whatsoever. Set theory, topology, real analysis is all a bunch of drill. Can you believe it when I tell you that mainstream mathematics doesn't even have a definition for number? They don't even have a definition for their new foundations, set or element. They don't have a definition for it. They've just got a doctrinal statement of 9 beliefs, which are that big pile of crap called the ZFC axioms. Okay, and of course, a lot of these morons will refer to that incorrigibly stupid non-mathematician Giuseppe Piano and his little 5 crap axioms. They're not even axioms, they're just pure crap. I'm John Gabriel, and this is New Calculus Channel. Till next time, goodbye.